educational only.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, I forgot to fill up my drink. Oh well. I'll be thirsty for an hour.
Me too. Mine's gone.
Yeah. I
All right,
had
well, let's see what we have going on today. Hi, Tyler. Hi, Girl Mode. So today we are going to be weathering this store-bought mask. It looks fine, but it looks also very basic. I don't like how clean it's been hanging up on the wall up there. So I'm probably going to start by just like wiping the dust off of it so that I can actually get a clean base to paint. But that's what we're going to be working on today is we're going to weather this mask down. It has all these feathers and stuff dangling and the rope going up. It is a decent paint job on it already. I just want to bring it and make it look old. So we're going to weather this up and we're going to I'm going to show you guys a couple different ways you can weather up this stuff. I have different things over here and we will go through them as we're using them and I will tell you about what the different ones are and what I have found works good for different things, and also probably tell you about a couple I'm not using on this particular one that also works for other stuff. So that being said, I will let you tell them about this.
Okay, guys. So, of course, we're going to tell you where we're going to be. Next place we're going to be is Sinister Creature Con. Not this coming weekend, but the following June 21st and 22nd. We will be there helping celebrate the 10th anniversary, just like we celebrated it last weekend, Bruce's 10th anniversary of being alive too. So it's kind of funny to think that he's as old as one of our big conventions that we make a big deal about. And Saturday we will be, of course, in the cosplay contest. We are building and working away at our costumes for this season.
And so many other things.
Yeah. It's going to be
I currently have 10 costumes in the process of being built.
Yeah. There's always something needing to be built.
All right. Just so you guys know, I'm not using anything that special. These paintbrushes that I'm going to be using, I have a handful over here. Any of these black handled ones you see, these are all just ones I bought at, I think, O'Reilly's. The silver ones like these were Temu buy. And these ones I bought at like Hobby Lobby or something. But none of this stuff like that's extravagant. I use a Poppet for all my paints and stuff. And I have literally a Ziploc bag that I'm going to be dumping my powders on. So I bought these ones at Evangeline's downtown Old Sac. I'm sure you can get them online. But Big 9, Grime FX, Dirt. This one is Dirt Dark Brown. I've heard of other dirts out there. And then this one right here is Coal. So it's just like a powder effect that you throw on there. And if I could still read either of the prices on these, they were $7. So they're not that expensive. This is some off-brand orange paint. I like this stuff. It is red oxide, and oxide is another word for rust. So this is basically rust colored. It works really good when you're working with metal or anything that's supposed to be around like dirt and stuff. This is model paint that has expired by years, but it still seems to work really good for this, for doing washes. So this is model paint that has been floating around since I was 10. So that's what I'm going to be working with. Probably, possibly a couple other paints. I might pull out some basic acrylics and stuff, but we'll talk about those as they come by. I am probably going to mix a little more thinner in this because it is getting really thick. So I will let you get back to your list.
Thank you. Hi, Sewang. So yeah, we're gonna be at Sinister Creature Con the 21st and 22nd. Obviously, definitely entering in the cosplay contest on Saturday. And we will be hanging out with everyone else on Sunday too. Sat Geeks is supposed to have a booth there, so more than likely you'll see me sitting at the Sat Geeks table on Sunday. I might stop by on Saturday. And I know a couple people are going to be modeling for one of the makeup artists on Sunday, so it's going to be really cool to see. We just love Sinister. We love the fact that it's a convention that we've always really liked. It was Bruce's first competition, and he won, and he just brings it every single time, and we want to keep doing that again and again for him. After that, speaking of Sat Geeks, they are having another Geek Pride Market night, and it'll be on the 27th of this month, again at the Lucid Winery. And you can scan the QR code there. It's also on their Instagram to reserve your tickets. I think at this point that all the vendor spots are filled up, I do believe. So if you want to be a vendor there, you can try for the following months. I know they have things scheduled out till at least December for the Geek Pride Market night. So it's coming out really well. I'm gonna be there at this one to help out. So guys, go head over there on June 27th. I want to say it's a Thursday. So you guys can head over there and check it out. And then after that, on Sunday the 29th, we're gonna go down to Watsonville and check out Nerdville Comic Con. It's first time from a nonprofit.
I
Yes,
don't know if it was our first time, but it's definitely our first time because I heard about it. We heard about this one from one of the vendors we know, and she said there's a lot of the booths there are people you don't normally see on the normal circuit you see around all of like Sacramento, Stockton, Lodi, the Central Valley circuit, and the Bay Area circuit. There's a lot of vendors here that you don't normally see on those. So that's one of the reasons we really were going to go check this one out.
Yeah, that too. And it kind of gives a reason to go down to Santa Cruz area and see the beach, feel the sand.
The boardwalk.
Oh, yeah. I love the boardwalk. Yeah. Maybe I can get a cousin or two to go meet us there, but we'll see. So yeah, those are what's going on for June for us this month. And then after that, come in July, I don't have the flyer up yet, but we will be in Reno for Silver Age. So if you guys want to plan ahead, check out Silver Age at the Atlantis. Lost Boys. Yes, Lost Boys taking over the boardwalk. One day I might want to see the movie when they show it on the boardwalk. I know they love doing that in the summertime. So maybe one day. And that about wraps it up for that. So are we back to you, babe?
Sure. I'm horrified and put this thing and move the button to that other one. There. Mm-hmm. So, I've already started weathering in the fabric a little bit here. I'm just using the model paint. I thinned it down. And then just taking a brush, and then I'm dip it in, and I'll remove almost all of the paint. Even to the point I have a towel over here that I'm dipping it on. And then I want it to get really thin, because especially with with something like this plastic, you can paint it on thicker and then wipe it away. But when you're doing fabrics or something like this twine, once it's there, it's there. So go light, and then you can always add in heavier. But just super surface brushing will give you a lot of texture and depth. And then when you see like crease, you can tap down into them a little more. Overhangs, you get the bottom side, stuff like that. And it'll just give you so much depth and texture into it. Spots where like hands would be, like right here where if someone was grabbing that, their hand would end up up here where like someone's hand might end up grabbing it. I put a little bit extra on there. But overall, mostly doing really light touches. The occasional heavier spot.
Can you lower the mask when you do that? Because that your hand up there goes off screen.
So also spots like right by the head are going to get more, because that's where grime would settle. You know, think about all the old dirty stuff you have laying around your house. Anywhere there's a crease or something, that's where the grime's going to settle in. But with the plastic, you can kind of wipe it on there very liberally on there. And it looks like you're ruining it. And then you take your paper towel, you wipe it back, and you just get all this depth and texture into it out of nowhere. So that side's before, that side's after.
Now, do you remember where you got the mask?
This is an Evangeline Spy. They sell this mask in a handful of different places. This was Evangeline Spy. They have a gold one, a silver one, they have a bone colored one. They have a lot of them. But yeah, we did something similar to this to a mask that Bruce has, and it took it from being, it was just a Spirit Halloween basic bone mask, and it took it from being just a basic bone mask to looking really good. You will see this one still has the tag. That's because it hangs up on the wall. So I'm not even worried about it like half drying, because what that means, it'll stay into the lower spots more.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of what you want anyways. They just kind of paint it all dark. Then you wipe it back down.
Okay, we mainly see your hand.
Then you take your paper towel and you reveal it back down. I want it to give this a much darker, less like wet meat look, more of a dark, demonic borderline look. And you can see how much darker and deeper that gives it. All the lines pop more. Versus something like right here where don't knock me over here where I haven't done yet, still super bright. Versus over here, you wipe it and then you have this more depth of a look to it. So before, after. You can do this to anything, guns, props, anything. it really, really shows in spots like right here in this crease, where you just gain so much texture and depth from that little bit of wiping. Like this side's the undone side. It's bright, it's shiny, it's very artificial. Versus over here, where it's grungy and kind of looks like it may have gone through some shit. The whole purpose of the weathering is to make it look like it's in world. And this is a skull, so the world it'd be in is the woods, the forests, with it being red, possibly hell.
A forest hell.
I mean, maybe it was like a fucking Wendigo that was in the woods when it lit on fire.
Mm.
Or something. But
are you adding the dirt stuff or no?
I will be. But you want to get your I'm doing a base coat of this black first before I touch any of the powders. Powders are kind of like the last thing. So the powders will go on the surface because they are, well, they're the dust. They're the stuff that just kind of lands on it over time. Where this is more the grime, the base layer stuff.
Mm-hmm. Tyler the Devil Hunter says it almost looks like a mask from the movie Sinner.
Don't remember if I saw that one or not.
I know I haven't, so I can't comment. So
Leather is a weird game. If it's suede, it'll show it real, like on all your high spots real well, like which this is. But if you have like smooth leather, it tends to only show in the little creases and cracks of the leather, the textured depth. So if it's a soft, fuzzy leather, it will show on the surface on the high spots. If it's a smooth leather, it'll show in the low spots. And if you're not careful, you're turning it black like I just did. You really want to make sure you're kind of dry brushing when you do fabrics. Same thing if you hit like the leaves. You want to do them with kind of a really light touch. Smooth objects tend to go more into the deep spots because the smoothness allows it to wipe off. Or if you get something like this bead here, I paint the living crap out of this metal bead here. And then just take the towel, roll it around, and it'll get so much depth because all those little crevices will hold on to stuff. Not that you guys can see it super well, cameras, but it'll give it so much depth into that thing.
Oh, it's not focused.
Yeah, it doesn't want to focus.
Yeah. But we believe
But
you.
yeah, that thing has a bunch of stuff. So, and if you do like I did here, where you left it too long, actually I got it just in time. But if you do leave it too long, like you can a lot of the time still wipe the high spots if it's like half cured, and it'll come out really good. Or if you have to, just use a little bit of the paint and go back over it, and it'll reactivate it a lot of the time because most paints, except for I think the acrylic is the only one I can think of that doesn't. Most of these paints have the same stuff that breaks it down in it to keep it liquid long enough for you to paint with it. That's why I'm using the same thing I'll use to clean this brush. I'm using it right. I poured a bunch in there and thinned it down with that. That definitely brought down the temperature of that mask from a bright red to a kind of burnt look almost. So I'm gonna work on these strings a little bit, bring some of their temperature down. But I don't want too much. So this dish right here that I'm using underneath, this is one of those trays that you put underneath like a dog's bowl. It's all silicone, so that's why I don't care about getting paint, any kind of paint or anything on it, because it will come back off. So if you can get one of these things, they're really good because they have this lip on the outside. So if you spill your paint or something, it's not going to run off onto the table like the mats tend to do. And it is rainbow colored because I let Bruce paint.
Well, you know, he is a crafty kid.
Well, he has his costume to work on too.
Yes, he does. So yeah, when you
the main
guys,
mostly when you're weathering, you're going to be using a lot of earth tones, browns, blacks, like reds and yellows and like natural deep colors. You don't want bright colors in there for your weathering, unless you're something crazy like a space marine or something, and then maybe have some like oozy green color on there for like the toxic waste look. But think about when you're weathering, think about the environment that this thing may have been in, and that's how you're going to want to pick your colors. If I have heard, and I've even done on fabrics, I've taken spray bottles and filled them with water, like 3/4 hot water, and then just a little squirt of just cheap acrylic paint, and then just mist the thing down, and then just bake the living fuck out of it, wipe it down, whatever it takes to get it somewhat cleaned back up. But what it'll do is it'll give this like dingy look to the fabric. Yeah. That's much deeper. So let's see. What do we want to do next? I think I might weather this a little more. This leather is still kind of bright on this side. Okay. And then I'm going to get just a little bit of this red in my tray. Okay, so what brush do I want to use for that?
kind of got to be like Bob Ross and have all your tools available because you never know what you're feeling or what you need.
I'm actually using a very common brush he used. It's the fan brush. This is how he made all the happy little trees.
Yeah.
You'd go vertical and you do the little tappy 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 thing all the way down. Make happy little trees. Although that tree looks dead.
It was on fire. Where the creature that your mask is from was. They died together.
Just adding a little bit into some of these low spots. It's nothing precise. Adding it here and there into some of the low spots. And then I'll come back and just kind of blot it off. Where the other stuff I was wiping, this I'm blotting because I want it to kind of stay into the spot where I put it, not just spread everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a base layer for the dust right now. So when I put the dust on, it gives it a little bit of that like iron dirt look underneath. Also was noticing, dry brush it on here, it looks really good. I'm probably going to do some more of that. I'm just going to work straight off the mat. By just doing this really light surface, you'll hit a lot of the high spots, and you'll start getting texture out of those as well. I like these cheap fan brushes because they kind of go to shit real quick. So see how it's gapped out like that? Cheap fan brushes do that, and they're really good for this because then when you hit something, you're not getting a brush mark. You're getting like 20 of them, and they're all a little different. So it gives you this very random pattern going on. Do you remember things like horns or certain things will have grain? So horns always growing towards the point, from the skull towards the point, or vice versa. So kind of when you're stroking, follow the lines of your piece somewhat, because it will give you more better look at the end. Same with if you're going to brush some off like that. And remember, there's two sides to every part. Forget the backs. I've seen a lot of props. The front looks amazing. The back looks like hot garbage. It just is. It's not even that they didn't expect you to see the back. They just spent so much time on the front, but they didn't even think about the back. So oftenly, the back becomes an afterthought. But honestly, especially with like clothes, the back's half the time more dirty than the front. Because if you've been on Mars and you're wearing a spacesuit, your ass, your back of your heels, the back of your thigh, the back of your knee, those are all spots where like the grime is going to build up because you're going to sat down on something at some point. You're going to have grime all over your ass. Your feet are walking on the ground, so that dust is going to be there, and then you're going to kneel down at some point, and your knee is going to touch the back of your thigh. Grime. If you're working on the ground, anyone that's worked anything down low knows the back of your knee gets all kinds of funky. So just remember all those little spots like that, so that you get that nice uniform costume going on. You don't have those weird spots as much. And don't be afraid to try stuff.
It looks like a different mask already.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of the time, even if you can't make your own mask, if you are a prop or something, just repainting it a lot of time will give you some points for that, because you'd be like, I painted and weathered this myself, and you get points towards build. You may not have made it, but you put your touch on it. I like how this pops out wrinkles in my dry brush. Kind of gives it almost a lava look.
I have to step off for a second.
Okay. When you get back, do you want to start your or you want know what? Go ahead and start them getting the first words together for your Mad Lib.
Okay. So the first ones is an adjective and a plural noun. I just gotta pee. I'll be right back.
Okay. But you know they take time. All right. So yeah. A lot of you're just experimenting. If you see something you like, do it. And just remember, high spots get light colors, low spots get dark colors. And you could just take any piece of junk thing and just start weathering it and figure out a lot of the skills that it takes to do a good weathering job. So you can already see that is a much different looking mask than when we started and it was super bright. It is much darker note to it, more demonic looking, less wet, meaty. You missed a little spot with the black over here, apparently. You can see the original. It's a shiny red back here. I think what I'm going to do, go ahead and give that a wash real quick. And then give it a little bit of a touch of the orange, highlighting.
And I'm back, and no one put in an adjective or a plural noun. Tyler.
Yep.
Adjective. Go.
There's 4 of you.
Yeah, there's 4 of you. I've been watching through the whole last 30 minutes of how many people we've gotten here. And it's a short one, guys. I have like literally 4 lines to fill. Okay. Girl mode, you're fine because you're a mom and you got 2 kids. That's okay. But I need an adjective and a plural noun. Pit bull as the plural noun. So pit bulls. Okay. Now an adjective and an adverb.
So that's already a ton of difference right there.
Oh, hell
now we're going to go ahead and work with these powders a little bit. So I'm going to start with dark first. You kind of want to work backwards with the powders than you do with paint. Typically with paint, when I'm weathering, I'll go from the deep. I work from the back forwards personally. But when you're normally painting, you tend to go lighter to darker. Because a dark color will cover a light color.
Okay, I got
but with this,
nosy.
This it's a little bit different. So this is literally a powder. I'm gonna rotate you guys a little here. You can see over here, it's just like literally a powdered dust that comes out. And I'll just tap it a couple times, and then I just kind of tap it into spots where I think something might have settled, and then I just literally blow it back off. And it gives it more of a matte to it. It'll give it some matte black. This worked really good with like clothes or something. You can see it on my arm. It kind of gives like a gray, smoky look. But takes a lot of the shine out of stuff. So I like to use it in spots like in here in the eye. You can see on the fabrics it works really well. Also, I like the fact that it's kind of messing up the ropes because it makes them uneven. And then I will also make myself a pile of dirt. And take the dirt and
Hey, babe, when you are ready, I can read it.
Yeah, you can go whenever.
All right. So it was kind of short. That's why there's only 4 lines. So here we go. A gleefully time ago in a San Diego far, far away, a group of pit bulls teamed up to create a place where earthlings could nosy discuss their favorite geeky passions. That's how ZombieCon was born. Makes no sense, but that was the Mad Lib. Congratulations, guys. And it was really short because I just did it found it at like 5 o'clock.
Put that back out of the way. But I don't want to accidentally get that red paint on here. So another cool thing with these powders, you can actually hit things like feathers and give them a little bit of texture as well. For a feather, you wouldn't want to like paint it. This stuff is closer to like a makeup almost. So you can actually put a little bit of dust on the feather to make the feather look like it's been around for a while as well.
Wouldn't you maybe to make it look a little more torn up, like make the particles of the feather back a little
feathers
bit?
Already, like this one's missing a chunk.
Yeah, do it a little similar to some of the other ones, maybe?
If you brush backwards still, you'll get this. See how it like turkey feathered?
Yeah.
So if you brush backwards on the feather, you'll get that.
Yeah, I figure something like that to make it a little more worn. Like it's been through some trenches too.
Like this feather is beautiful because it like flops and shit because it's all kind of beat up.
Yeah.
This feather is a little fresher looking, but you kind of want, for something like this, you'd want it not to be uniform. Like ones might be newer because maybe you lost a feather and got another one.
True, but that's what I was saying, just like maybe a couple or something. That way they all don't look uniformly perfect either.
Nope. They already don't, though. The little ones are fluffy. Some of these big ones are janked up. And I need more dirt. The dirt jar is so much harder to sprinkle out.
Mm.
And with the powders, over apply because a lot of it disappears.
Yeah, we also learned that doing the thing with the beads.
Yeah. So you can very over apply it. And then a lot of it will just kind of dissipate off. Pile a bunch up. I want a lot of dirt right in there. Kind of bring that red back down. Almost looks like there's like a blood stain on it.
And then you were out hunting. Can't fully see what the part you're working on.
Boom.
Oh, there it is. There we go. So it looks so much darker and like cursed.
Yeah, it just gives it a much more grim effect.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do this with any mask. You do it with a freaking latex mask, with anything. Just make sure whatever you're working with works alongside whatever material it is. So like this is just a plastic shell mask. So pretty much anything that you paint plastic with will paint on this. And because it has such a rough texture, it's going to hold the paint. If it's super smooth, something like Frankenstein back there, Frankenstein doesn't have a whole lot of texture. So Frankenstein, you might have to take some like 120 grit or something and just give them a little rub if you want it to make something stick. But be careful with that because you don't want to leave marks that look super obvious. But then you get something like Pizza Dude up here. Sorry for the bar lighting. Pizza Dude here has lots of texture. You could really easily weather him. Personally, I wouldn't. I don't. If I did something, I'd probably bring like more gloss to the sauce to bring it a little wetter looking. But Pizza Dude here is kind of, he has a lot of texture to him, his design. Therefore, he'd be a good one for weathering. The bird over here got weathered long ago. That was one of my old attempts at weathering. But even something like my Sam up there, which is a latex mask, you'd want to use materials that cooperate with latex, but I could weather that in. I might at some point, but he's hard to tell what should be weathered just because of how the show is all in the darkness for the most part. You don't really see him in daylight, therefore it's kind of hard to be like, oh, this should be dark and that should be light, and because you don't see him that much. But I mean, you could weather literally anything, and you bring the life into it. A good way to start weathering is around Halloween time. There's all these little skeleton toys and stuff, and you can buy them at dollar store for super cheap. I have like a bunny up here that was at like $1 something. I got a unicorn one that I got at like, I think Walgreens or something like that, and it was like $4 or $5. And where'd my but the things like that are really good for learning to weather because it's low risk. One, you didn't put all your time and effort and like you don't have hours and hours into this process, so low risk. Yeah, you see the guys up here. Warning: if you do a 3D print, sand the living hell out of it, or you will see every layer line. If you're doing filament, if you're doing resin, you can get away with weathering a bit more, and you can get more detail. But if you're doing 3D print, you're going to have layer lines, and you will see your layer lines, even on a good paint job. if you don't sand, you will see your layer lines. The newer printers are getting better and better about that. If you're doing like clothes, you can even use coffee. The one that Adam Savage swears by is he'll just come in and he'll be drinking his coffee, and when it gets to that last little bit, he'll just open the fucking lid and throw it on, splash it onto the costume, give it some weathering, some wear, or splash it onto a box that's or something, and it just gives it life. If you're doing metal like weapons and stuff, right at the edges, all the high spots tend to rub on stuff. So if it's a black metal object that should be still, it's right on the edges, give it just a little edge of silver right there, and it'll make it look so much better. I would show you guys my big silver Deadpool weapon, or my big gold Deadpool weapons, but last time I pulled something out like that, they kicked us off. So let's not do that.
Maybe we'll post a picture later.
But if you have something like this hammer, spots like this corner are going to get rubbed a lot more than like spots like in here, or even down here where it's tapered inward flat. All these high spots are going to get rubbed more, because when you set down a hammer, it's going to hit like that, and this top edge is going to get beaten down more. So just think about when you set it down, what part touches. So like on a lot of pistols, just that little front edge on the corner, because if you set things down, you tend to lead with the tip. Or if you set it down, maybe it's the back of the handle, like right here on the handle is what does it. Just think about when you're handling this, what spots are going to get weathered. Here's an example of metal. Like this one is supposed to be this part of my D-pool. It is all rusted and janky looking on purpose, because the concept behind this is if Deadpool would spend way more money on his weapon than his defense. Defense would be a second thought. He basically would have. He went out. He bought the biggest, shiniest sword he could get, but that says B. Arthur on the handle and has his logo, and he's like, ah! Oh wait, helmet, shield, that, and just got this cheapest stuff possible. That's why his helmet is kind of janky looking. The shield, which is somewhere up behind me over here, is out of square and stuff. It's a little wonky looking. It's all rusted. Both of them are rusted up, but the sword has no rust on it. It's all shiny and beautiful. Deadpool would take so much better care of a weapon than a defensive thing, because he has regen. Why would he care about that?
Yeah.
It's more of a second thought of, oh wait, I'm supposed to be a knight. I should have these parts. And that's why the sword is beautiful. The gauntlet is beautiful. The shield is cool. The helmet is a helmet. Has a feather. Big old red one. But yeah, when you're looking at your prop, think about where it lives. That's going to be like the biggest thing. Where does your prop live in this world? That your costume live? If you're doing like Volt-Tec suits, what Volt did you come out? What was the experiment in that Volt? Did you come, and when you have you left the Volt? When you left the Volt, where? Were you in New Vegas? Where were you? Did you come out in Chicago? Did you come out in Bangkok? Where did you come out? What environment are you going to end up in? What stuff would have happened to you? Where might you have like hair and a stitched back together piece? Which honestly, you can a lot of the time do that without ever even actually creating a tear, just by giving it a little wrinkle and then sewing it. And you don't have to create the tear because the thread hides the fact that it's just pinched fabric. And your fabric still has full strength, but you look like you repaired a spot where you caught a freaking rail gun to the arm or whatever. Same thing when you go to do your makeups. How did you get this wound? How long have you had this wound? Is it infected? What gave you this wound? Was it venomous? What kind of venom was it? Was it like a black widow where it's gonna swell and turn red and get funky, or was it more like a recluse where it's like gonna rot and eat you from the inside out? You just want to think about all the environmental factors that caused the thing to look like this. Because if you show up and your thing's shiny, pretty, is it supposed to be? Like, or is it supposed to be kind of lived? If it's supposed to be shiny and pretty, keep it shiny and pretty. If it's supposed to be lived, think about where should it have. If it's electronics and you have like a panel that's not quite closed all the way, a little black running up above that makes it look like you got the freaking had something go wrong in your electronics and it smoked at some point. And you just have that like electrical fire smoke going up the side, and then you like patched it back together and kept it moving. If you have like a blaster and it has this big cartridge on the top of goop, maybe around where it connects, just have like a little runoff piece coming down the side. Like you connected it and it just out a little bit and just kind of leaked down. You can take a brush, dip it in paint. Chip brushes work really good for this. And then you just kind of drag your finger across like this, and it'll just put little speckles of paint onto the thing. Make sure whatever's on that side behind your thing, you don't mind getting paint on. Also, maybe the wall, if you're like on a workbench that has a wall behind it, you will get paint on both of those when you speckle stuff like that. But you can do that with like a deep red, and it'll look like blood splatter on it. And if you have like say you have a big Gears of War gun, you speckle it backwards, kind of hold your finger, have your Gears gun sitting there, and you just take the finger and that a couple of times, you'll fling it back down the gun, and as the paint drops hit, they're going to hit at an angle, so they'll get that little bit of a pull mark on them. If you are doing something like, you just can't see it, the Thanos blade that's over there, where I put his head on top of a sword. Well, if you stuck a head on a sword, it's gonna the liquid is gonna go downhill. So I actually took the goop that I was using for the blood, and I stuck it in a couple spots, and I just squeezed it, and I put way too much there, and I just let it run down the blade. Let gravity do it, because that's what the blood would do. So you just kind of let it weather in. And on bloods, within probably about the next month, we'll be talking a lot about gore stuff. A lot of blood stuff coming up soon. I have a project coming up as soon as we're done with Sinister that is going to be very gory. And we're also looking at starting to every couple of episodes, bring on a maker so that we could talk to them, do kind of it's an interview, but not more of a conversation of an interview. Just talk to them about the process of making stuff. What makes them want to make something? What steps they take, what stuff people might need to know to make something in the same vein as what they're doing. And I mean, yes, go make stuff. If you're a painter, paint something that interests you. Because if you like it, you'll do it. You don't worry about what the market dictates. They'll come around. There's people that like the thing you like. Our son's 10 and he loves Charlie the Unicorn. No one else's age knows who the hell that is.
No.
But he likes Charlie the Unicorn. He likes llama and hats. He likes a lot of weird stuff. There's always that person out there that likes that weird niche thing that you're into. So don't worry about if every piece is for everyone or any piece is for anyone. There's an audience for everything. There's shows I do not care about. But there's some other people that I've met that totally love that same thing. I have no desire to watch any of the Terrifier stuff. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. It looks somewhat interesting. I'll watch it eventually. There's people that love that show. I mean, Sinister got the Terrifier, and I guarantee you that line will be all the way out the damn door. That line is going to be crazy, and if you want his signature, my suggestion would be get VIP, so you're in the first group getting in. For a couple of them. For him, for Doug Bradley. Doug Bradley's line last time, when I got my thing signed, last time he was there, I was in the first, 5, but all day there was a line down the hall for Doug. Jim Kennedy is probably going to have a long-ass line. They got some solid names there that if you want a signature from any of those major names, it's worth getting the VIP. Because the way they set their system up is you got VIP entries, all of them, then you have early entry, all of them, and then you have everyone else. And even with VIP, you want to get there early because there's still a line like crazy. So if you want to get those signatures and you don't want to wait an hour and a half, 2 hours. I think I waited 2.5 hours for Elvira. Get there early. Get there early and get your VIP. Because I like I said, I waited 2.5-ish hours to get Elvira's signature. And versus I got VIP, I was there an hour and a half early. And I was number 4 in line for Doug Bradley, and I got my signature within 15 minutes. So, if there's one you really want. Also, yeah, the celebrities are great, and it's cool to meet them. Most celebrities I've ever met were really good people and really nice folks. But on the other side there, typically, there's that room. Over when you first walk into the main floor on the left side, that left side, there's a lot of artists in that front corner a lot of the time, and a lot of effects artists are over there. So they are all, from what I've gotten, because I've talked to a lot of them, they are all willing to help. If you're like, hey, I've been trying to do this thing, but I can't figure out how to make it do this thing. That's where I found out about the blood that I'm about to try out, was from one of them. They are willing to help you. They are willing to give you advice. It is not gatekeepy at all. They are like, oh, you're trying to make blood and it's supposed to look wet. Try this chemical. Well, you also might want to try this. I've also gone over because one of my costumes started peeling. And I've actually asked one of the makeup artists if they happen to have something, and they gave me a little bit of spirit gum because they know what it is. Sometimes that stuff gives up. So go talk to them. The artists, even most artists, are willing to talk to you about their process and what they do and how they get. So even if a lot of painters, if you see they're how do you get that that wet splatter effect onto your art page looking so controlled? Ask them. They will tell you. Most of them will tell you. There's a couple of them out there that are going to be jerks about it, but most of them will tell you. So, ask. Worst they're going to be is like, well, I don't really like to tell people about how I do stuff. It's the worst you're going to get. So, don't be afraid to ask. I've found out about many a chemical that way that has changed my process, or that's how I found out about freaking what the actual moss on Beetlejuice is, which I would have never guessed in a million years. So don't be afraid to ask. If you like what someone's doing, find out how they're doing. Just ask them how they're doing it. Because even if you just like one little thing on their thing, a lot of the time they're willing to be like, oh, that part, this is how I do that particular task. All the way up to like, how do you get the form? And a lot of them are willing to say stuff like that too. But that's also kind of why we're going to start bringing some guests on every couple episodes. A lot of the time it will still just be me and Sandra talking to you. Oh, wait, we got you going soon here, huh?
Yeah, that's why I went like this to show you. We had 1 minute.
Well, negative 2. A lot of the time it is just going to be us, but we're going to start doing guests sometimes. So keep your eye out.
That means you have to write interview questions.
Huh?
That means I have to write interview questions.
There's going to be a lot of conversation-y type of stuff. They're just going to be, all the questions are going to be kind of more in that. I'll talk to you later about it, but they're going to be more in that aspect of like, well, let's send them down this road and see where this conversation goes type questions. But real quick, we're going to do a quick shot on this, and then you guys need to go see Graveyard. So, your turn.
Yay! Okay, guys. As Jeff was saying, we are going to be at Sinister Creature Con this month. Not this coming weekend, the following. So we're going to be frantic busy trying to get those costumes together for the cosplay contest on Saturday. And obviously he said all the celebrities that they're going to be. And yeah, we're really excited. Looking forward to being there at celebrating the 10th anniversary of Sinister Creature Con. Then Snap Geeks has their Geek Pride Market night on the 27th. So if you guys go ahead and scan that QR code, if you don't have it here, you can go over to their Instagram and like screenshot or scan it there too. Or just go to their website. You can do it that way too to reserve your tickets to go. There's going to be a lot of amazing vendors. I think some repeat vendors. There's going to be some new vendors. And it's at a winery. I mean, if you're into wine, you can sip on some wine and walk around and shop. That sounds pretty fun. I mean, I'm not a wine girly per se, but the fact that you get to walk around with a drink and shop, that's pretty cool. So yeah, there's Geek Pride Market on the 27th, and then on the 29th in Watsonville, we will be seeing what is going on with this Nerdville Comic-Con down there in the Santa Cruz County area, and we will let you guys all know. Most likely we will be on Distance Nerding to say about our experience about that, just like we will be on Distance Nerding to talk about our Sinister Creature Con experience as well. And I think that about sums it up for our plans and events for this month of June.
Alrighty. Well, in that case, by the way, if you like this now and you decide to buy it, just know you can't see here. Like the middle section is just gone. You can see over here. You can see over here. You don't get here. So just if you like this and you decide to wear it, just know that you have a blind spot. But as always, be a maker, not a hater. Goodbye, everyone. See you over at Graveyard.
Bye.